Thank you for listening to us at Jadu Lifestyle, where you get a life and live it too. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Anne Morrison. She's better known as Annie. And we're going to interview her to talk a little bit about SARASOLO and a company that she has. She's the queen of drama, so she'll tell you a little bit. So welcome, Annie.
Hi, Patty. So good to hear your voice.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm having a great time. I'm gearing up for the Sarasolo Festival. It's coming up. I'm now in the festival, so I'm putting a show that I had shelved for 7 years back in my head again and having the best time ever.
Okay,
So I'm
great.
great.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about SARASOLO? That's a company that you started, right?
Right, yeah. It's a fun story. I'm a professional actress and a director and a writer. And I've always been interested in solo theater and solo artists, where you're alone on the stage doing a solo play by yourself because it's a solo. And I had written several of them. Wrote a beautiful little piece that came out of a series of stories that I wrote that was stimulated while I was sitting in a fairy glen in the Isle of Skye in Scotland. And that's a whole other evening of stories right there. But and I would do them as living room theater pieces. And one day, my collaborator, Blake Walton, we collaborated many things. One was having a son. But he said, Annie, I believe Linda Lovely Goes to Broadway is actually a stage piece. And we got a grant from the John Ringling Tower Award so that we can explore is putting it on its feet as a theater piece opposed to something you just read in the living room. We took it to the United Solo Festival in New York, which is the largest solo festival in the world. We were welcomed with open arms. Blake actually learned another one of my stories from that series 4, and I directed that. So he directed me, I directed him. We won. I won Best Actress, Best Premiere. He won Best Premiere. A thrill to be part of that organization. We became members of their academy, which meant we could suggest artists to come. We could vote for like the best artist or whatever. But we always thought we loved this so much, and so many of the solo artists were saying, "Gee, I wish there was a place that we could go, like a retreat, where we could work on solo theater, because it's a lonely process unless you should be smart enough to get someone to be your third eye, be your director to see what you're doing." And maybe play the dramaturge, that's someone who would make sure that your storytelling is clean, things that may need to be researched for your storytelling needs to happen. And some people have someone they co-write with them. So we thought, gosh, Sarasota, Florida would be a perfect place for that. For a lot of people who just want to get out of cold winter, it's just a lovely place. We decided we're going to get a retreat. We need to find out if Sarasota was even interested in something like that. I mean, you can go to the theaters here, so very rich theater communities, and see some solo plays. But this was something that would be unique for people who were developing their own material. So I thrilled. We started a festival back about 6 years ago, and we got 16 different performers from all over the country to come, and they had one performance only, but it was a smattering for people to see that theater, and it worked beautifully. Last year was our last year of doing a 16 performance group. We wanted to really deliciously celebrate a smaller group of artists and give them more than just one performance. Here we're trying something new. We are only exploring 4 solo artists to come down and give them 3 performances and see how that plays out. So that's how this whole thing got started. We still are excited with the possibility of having a retreat place to go. But Blake and I didn't want to wait. We wanted to start developing theater right away. So we found ourselves teaching playwriting classes. I also teach cabaret development. When you're a solo cabaret performer, who tells good story instead of just listing the songs that they're going to sing. Physical theater, because some people may want to tell personal stories through movement, mime, or dance. And performance art, people may want to use multimedia in which to express their solo voice. And so we started finding ourselves creating a school. I'm probably answering all your questions at once because I just do that. I apologize.
Yes.
And I go into the details, but we went into a high school right now. In fact, I'm going to be leaving in a little while to go teaching them solo theater development. And it's so welcomed in the school that they're going to make it part of their curriculum. So we feel like, in a way, the idea of what a retreat would be is already happening through the students here in Sarasota. So that's what we're all about.
Okay, so I know that you recently starred in or was a actress in The Sound of Music, but my audience, I have a lot of business owners in my audience. So what I would like to ask you is to talk a little bit about your background. I know you moved to Sarasota probably about 30 years ago. I'm not sure if you answered that question already, but talk about a little bit of your...
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm a professional actress. I earned my union card, actress union card, about when I was 24 years old. I had been working semi-professionally, but as a non-union actor, and I was awarded my card because I came to Sarasota, Florida, to become an apprentice at the Burt Reynolds Jupiter Theater, which was in Jupiter, Florida. It doesn't exist anymore. It's become a different theater. But that was a very thrilling experience. And the year before, I had been working here in Sarasota at the Off-Broadway Repertory Theater, doing a children's tour. They don't do that anymore, but it was a really wonderful tour at the time. So when I got my union card, because I'd done 52 weeks as an apprentice in the theater, I went off to New York and very quickly got my first off-Broadway play, which led me to my very first regional play, which led me directly to star on Broadway in a Stephen Sondheim musical, Merrily We Roll Along. I've gone back to New York times to about, 2 other Broadway shows, and we just recently honoring Hal Prince, who is considered like the Prince of Broadway. He passed away and was honored to come and sing for that. So yes, I'm a professional actress. I came to Sarasota in 1990 again. My husband and I, Blake, my best friend, decided to keep the friendship and dump the marriage. And I didn't want to go back to New York with our now 5-year-old son and struggle again, because my son challenged me. And I think your listeners will enjoy this. At 5, he said, "Mommy, why is it when people say what they're going to be when they grow up, they never are?" And that changed my life. I was going to say that changed my life. I felt like I had done my entire career for everybody else, and that I need to look at what I wanted to be when I was 5. And I grew up in theater. My folks were college professors in theater. They wrote 3 ballets, 1 opera, 3 musicals, art songs. They were a fantastic family of collaborators in theater art. And but I wanted to do theater with a purpose. It didn't have to be commercial theater. I wanted to do something that was important. And having been raised in musical theater, I felt that musical theater is a whole brain experience. So therefore, wouldn't it be great if I could develop a musical theater program that would benefit a population of kids or people that could really use that kind of healing? And it ended up back at the Oslo, working with another human resource organization. At the time, it was called Children's Haven. It worked with persons with developmental disabilities, and we created a program called Kaleidoscope, and that was life-changing for me. Mm-hmm. It was I got to see what I thought was a possibility come true. I saw how theater arts is helping this population of people better in the world, communicate, all kinds of wonderful things. And that's when I met my love of my dear friend, Linda Blum, who's stationed Linda Lovely. and she is the star in my solo play that I'm doing in the festival this year. So it was powerful. I thought I would be in Sarasota for just a few years, and I'm still here since 1990. I mean, I can travel and do things, but that's where I hang my hat.
Okay, I've known you about a year and a half now, and I attended your festival last year in February, and you had 2 weekends, 4 performances each weekend. But this year, I understand you're going to do a smaller festival. Why?
Right. Well, like I said, we wanted to explore smaller artists. I mean, not smaller, but just four artists, 4 or 5 artists. Give them more dates and really celebrate them than just giving our audience one artist, one shot. That's it. And this way, we can make smaller festivals throughout the year instead of one annual one that was always the end of January, February. So we're going to call this our winter one in February, which it runs from the 10th to the 15th. We'll have another one in May. I believe it's the weekend of the 16th. I don't have the calendar in front of me. And then another one in November. And each one will build in a way. This the winter festival, the artists are, I'm the only local. If the others are coming in, but they're plays that have been done already. Except for World Beans, this will be her world premiere here. The May we'll want to celebrate a little bit different mix-up. So some people will be just have developed something in the mix with people who are doing something, and then November would be artists that are actually in development, and this is the platform for them to try it for the first time. And then we have another little festival that's, it's really it's piece themselves to explore where they are in their art. In fact, thank you, Patty. You're a part of that this Sunday with our Generation to Generation with the middle school. I could talk about that later. So yeah, we're keeping ourselves very busy, and I think it's going to work very well this way. It gives Sarasota a chance to really get to know the artists. Ty, this is another interesting thing about solo theater and solo theater artists. Most of the time in a solo play, you're going to get someone who's got a story to tell, because everybody has a story to tell. And a lot of them can be issue related. It could be survivors of cancer. It could be survivors of child abuse. It could be dementia. Mine plays about a woman with Down syndrome who goes into Alzheimer's, but that's not what it's really about. So there's issues, and what I discovered is that solo artists are so eager to, beyond sharing their story, like to be a part of the community, to have further dialogue on it. Like a woman who was a 3-time survivor of cancer, beautiful play, wants to talk to other survivors of cancer. We've got a woman right now. I wish I could find a workshop place for her. So if anyone out there is listening and has a space for it or a venue, one of our artists coming in is an incredible motivational speaker and has more to say about her solo play in a workshop form. And I love that. Usually when an actor goes in and does a play somewhere in the theater, we don't get that opportunity to really engage with our community. And this seems to be a forum that really happens, and we really nurture that here in Sarasota. It's kind of really cool.
Okay, last year I was inadvertently volunteered for your Gen to Gen project, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And this year I'm doing it again.
Doing it again this year.
Yes, and I'm doing it again this year. But what it did for me, it opened my mind to something I never envisioned myself ever doing, which is technically acting. And it was good to have you, coach me along to what to do and things like that. And I still felt a little bit uncomfortable with facial expressions and things like that. And we talked about it this year for what we're going to do. So tell us a little bit about your outreach program. I know you mentioned it before, but talk a little bit about it.
No, I'll go in more depth. We started into the schools with our Gen to Gen, meaning generation to generation program that got stimulated. I mean, I had the idea of doing this And then we were challenged with the possibility of getting a grant to really further that particular program through an organization called Encore.